Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of GCC's Georgia Chiro Connection. I'm your host, Dr. Kathy, and I have to tell you, I'm like super excited about today's guest because I was asking for this woman to come on, for this doctor to come and share some of her philosophy, some of her story, and I'm so excited that she's here today. So welcome, Dr. Jamie Wyskiver.
Thank you. Thank you so much for thinking of me and having me. I'm so excited to share with you guys today.
Thank you. That's awesome. So we're going to jump right into it. And I just want to get started with you. And what's so cool about you is that without even knowing it, we have the same kind of mindset. So we're going to get started with an attitude of gratitude. So let's hear it.
Really, my attitude of gratitude is for Georgia, for you guys. Georgia is such my second home away from home from where I was born. It's where Life University introduced me to chiropractic. I've known I wanted to be a chiropractor since 13. However, I didn't understand what chiropractic was. I did not know the depths of service and the lasting purpose and dynamic essential that Dr. Sid founded Life on. And so coming to Life, getting, just so enveloped by other local Georgia doctors, going through school, seeing what you guys do. I'm a member of the GCC because I love you guys and I want to support you, even though I'm in Tennessee. But it's just for you and what you guys do, because I really feel like Georgia in ways sets the precedents and standards for a lot of ways that things are looked at within chiropractic. So thank you so much for all of the things that you guys do and holding the principle, at the forefront of everything.
That's fantastic. We have such a great board, and we've had so many incredible people roll in and out of our board over the years. Dr. Bobby Braille, Brian Lieberman, Away Spud, of course, Dr. Didi and Dr. Sid with, in the very early days. And we've just had so many great people, so many very influential people, and so many very principled people on our board that it has really done such a great job of keeping our board solid, keeping our board strong, and keeping our board really focused on keeping the big things big, right? And making sure that we all are focused on the big idea, which is, really to get chiropractic in the hands of as many people as possible, get as many people adjusted, get as many people checked, right? So that board mentality just permeates everything that we do. So thank you for that. That's really fantastic. I want to talk about a little bit. You are going to be speaking for GCC at an upcoming DEU, which is next weekend. So for those of you that don't know, GCC has always put on continuing ed events, but one of the things that they do is they also combine some of our continuing ed with dynamic essentials and do our DEU, which is getting CE at DE. That's coming up next week. So you'll see that DE starts on Thursday night. It goes till Sunday afternoon. It'll be right here in the Marriott, right in Marietta, Georgia, right by the new Brave Stadium. And Dr. Jamie's going to be one of our CE at DE speakers. So Dr. Jamie, what are you going to talk about a little bit?
I am actually going to talk about tonal application in high volume practice. So I utilize an approach called BGI, biogeometric integration. Some people utilize tonal approaches and, network. And honestly, even if you just apply Logan technique in your practice, you will tend to find that it takes a longer duration of time to do it, even though it is kind of brief. For me, it's something that I just kind of will tend to let them lay there because I do open adjusting and I'll get there because I know it's going to take me a little longer, especially when I do the accessory adjustments with it. And so in that, tonal has a tendency to be a little bit more longer time with each adjustment, and has that kind of way that people look at it that you can't see high volume with tonal work. So I combine my experiences when I graduated from chiropractic school in 2006 from Life and started a practice in Decatur, Georgia. I was a BGI based doctor there, and it's still there, Lotus of Life Chiropractic. Dr. Liliana Warner owns it. But we learned how to do multiple, open room adjusting, 3 to 4 tables at a time, and just start to kind of see a higher volume. And we got at least over 60 a day or so, at that point there. And that was probably in about a 8-hour time period, I'd say, in the day. So then when I go to Spain and I practice true high volume with my, at the time, father-in-law, and we're seeing 100 a day on my shifts there and then 300 a day on his shifts that I'm covering for him, I wanted to take the two and blend them. And I wanted to really just show people that no matter if it's pregnancy, pediatric, like I do, tonal application, whatever it is, that you can see a good amount of people. You can have this amazing fun party in your office. And there's moments you can have these kumbaya moments. And at the end of the day, you're like, holy cow, I saw 110 people. Like it was so calm. But then there's days it's chaos and you've only seen like 75 in comparison. So, but either which way, I just want to share what I've learned, share the experience that I've had and the wisdom, and just really help people get out of that box they may have within tonal application and practice, and just be as dynamic as possible. Just see as many people, be as gentle as possible, and be as loving to their systems.
I love that you just said how you wanted to learn how to take that loving, serving mindset that was used to handling this volume and learn how to do it on a high volume. When I first graduated, Florida still had the internship program down there. And so I had to go and work in somebody else's office. And first day, I took 60 sets of full spine x-rays, right? And I probably took like 300 films because I messed up so much. But the second day they gave me the floor and I adjusted 186 patients, and I really didn't know what I was doing or how to do it. And then on the third day, I adjusted 168 and I went home and I cried because my pisiforms hurt. And I said, I love it. However, this is like killing me to adjust this many people because I didn't know how to handle that kind of volume. So when I opened my office in New York, I said, I don't care if it takes me this much time to figure out how to give everything I want to give initially, and then I could work and get it down to that faster, more volume-based adjustment. But initially just jumping right into volume and not really knowing how to deliver my fullest capacity was tough. So I want to talk a little bit about that, because for you to do something that's more of a time-based adjustment, right? When you're doing tonal work, it's not a 37-second adjustment as some people talk about, or even a 2-minute adjustment.
Right.
But to be able to give the most of yourself, honor the time that the patients need, honor the time that you need, and still be able to see a lot of people in the course of that one shift. That's a big undertaking. There's a lot of work that I know went into that. So I think that's going to be interesting for people to hear that.
Yeah. And it's something, you're right, you do need to build up to. You show up in your office and you give love and serve as if it's one person. And then 1 becomes 2, 2 becomes 4, 4 becomes 8, and it just keeps multiplying. And so for us, like I said, at Lotus of Life Chiropractic in Decatur, we started with 3 tables and maybe even 2 in a room, honestly. And we had 2 rooms. And then we built up to 3 and then 4. And now I have 6 tables in a room. And then after 6 tables, I moved locations. And now I have 2 pediatric adjusting rooms. So I have 2 pediatric adjusting rooms. I have 1 room with 6 tables. And for me, the average adjustment takes for an adult 10, 15 minutes on average. Sometimes they are on the table for 30 to 40 minutes. It just depends on where they are in that place of need. And that's what we always have to do. And one thing I love that I got from DE, Dr. Zeus would talk about giving a loaf, not a slice. And so you always want to go and give that full loaf and that full embodiment and gift of what we have to offer them. And so 1 more table at a time, and I don't do scheduling. I'm a walk-in office. So I don't know how long people's adjustments are going to take. So I can't, or if people are going to show up when I have them scheduled with high volume. So if say person number 3 is off and they want the specific drop table, or that's my pregnancy drop that has the breakaway, that I need for the belly, it could throw everything off for the entire day for those other, few, 90 something people. So I don't want to do that. I want to make sure that people just know straight up, it is what it is. This is how it works. And they accept it because they value what we have to offer. And they value that we give them the quality with that time. And so, one thing that always rang in my mind is actually from Dr. Sigafus, I believe, that the more time you spend with them, the less time that they'll spend with you. So I feel that in essence, there's ways that does hold value. So you have to have the quality of what you're offering. Are you offering them conversation about your vacation, and stuff like that, which sometimes we need to do to connect to them and be that family with them, or are you talking about the weather? Are you talking about politics, which should never be honestly talked about, in my opinion, like what are you giving them also while they're there? Within your heart, within your soul, within sometimes your silence, and just being present during the adjustment, so there is a variety of ways that you can give yourself and completeness to them. It just depends on that moment. It just depends on what's that right fit. And I think that's best for us to understand, but growing and just having faith and just visualizing it first and then putting it into action is also key. And sometimes when you may start off and you're like, I added that table, I'm a little slower, but that's okay. You're going to get it. You're going to work into it, or if there's a day where you're just like, don't put anybody on that table, I need to go back down to 5, or I need to go back down to 4 because people's patterns are a little longer. As you may notice, some people will all of a sudden show up with kidney stuff one day or right shoulder stuff. And it's like all the same day or week that this stuff occurs. So sometimes it may take a little longer than other days where their systems are just on it. So you just gauge it and you do the best you can do, but always give it your best with love.
And I think the fact that you said you've already built the value for it and people value what you do, that really comes down to whether they can tolerate waiting or not, right? If they value what we do, time is irrelevant. They will wait for their turn. They'll wait for their adjustment because you've built the value up for them. And I think that's where, so I get to teach the students, and oftentimes I'll have students say, well, I don't want to do high volume because that's cheapening what we do. Whoa, hang on a second. It's not cheapening what we do. And let's explain, because the reason you're able to do high volume is because you've built such a value that people want to come and be a part of that. And I get their mentality. They kind of, they look at it and they say, well, I don't go eat off the dollar value menu meal at McDonald's, and me neither. I don't ever go in there, and I'd prefer a Ruth Chris or, Bones or a Preachy or something, right? I prefer a nicer restaurant. However, there's a value to it. And that's why I want to go to that nicer restaurant. So it's kind of the conversation I try to have with the students when they're like anti-volume. And most of them are looking forward to having a big high volume office, but there's some that, they don't want volume. They want a boutique practice, and to each their own. I just don't want anybody to point out a negative that's not actually a negative. Like if you see something that's a problem, great. But the reality is, chiropractors that are successful because they've built the value for what we do. They've educated their patients. People understand that this is not about pain or how I'm feeling. It's about how I'm functioning, how I'm healing. And they're coming not to get out of whatever symptom,
right,
but to get into a healthier, better way of life.
Yeah. And I think maybe a good way to approach that is you can go to any restaurant and it can have a bad day. And it's just a difference of, well, maybe that bad day isn't because they were busy. That bad day could be that it wasn't done with great intention and love. That food was not made from the heart. And that's where it needs to come from. And then when, and honestly, I kind of thought the same thing. Like, how in the heck could my ex-father-in-law see 300 to 500 people a day and offer quality? But when you sit there and you watch and you see, it is not McDonald's. It is not Taco Bell. It is not Wendy's. It is nothing like that. It is Ruth Chris on a busy day with a weight, with people and elegance and love and everything. It is, and I worked in the restaurant industry, so I can totally get that analogy. It is just the difference of when Ruth Chris is busy versus when they're not. That's all it is. It's not a difference of offering McDonald's. Now, if you're offering McDonald's, that's within you. It is not within what your practice is. It may be within your practices, but that's not what is within chiropractic and what is possible within what we practice and what we can bring to the table for our people. So if someone's in high volume feeling they're offering McDonald's, step back, go back to the quality, and then up it to where you're now the quality of Ruth Chris at high volume versus McDonald's at high volume.
Absolutely. I love that you just said all that, because that resonates so much with me. I know it's going to resonate with so many of the people that are watching, and especially with the students that are trying to figure out, how do I get there? And I will tell you, I couldn't get there day one. It was very confusing to me. I was like, well, I'm not giving them enough care, and I'm not loving on them enough, and I'm not serving them enough, because I felt like I was just running around, and I was going from like closed room to closed room, having to put the people on the table, lower them down, raise them back up, get them out the room, go to the next. It was frantic, and it didn't feel right until I learned how to serve to the best of my ability without having to take time. Right. And I think that's a very valuable lesson. I'm excited for you to be teaching that at DE. So one other question I have for you, tell us a little bit about, so you made the transition. This is something that a lot of people don't like to do. They don't like to be in practice someplace and then decide to move someplace else, because it really is a starting over, right? You have to build it all over again. It's not like your patients are going to send everyone they know to go to your new office. So, and you didn't just move across town where people could just drive a little further. So talk to us a little bit about that, because that had to be a lot of like soul searching and am I really going to do this? So talk a little bit about that.
A lot of it was just within the path that I felt God had for me. And coming out of school, I had the opportunity to open a practice with Dr. Liliana. So I did. And it was perfect in the moment. It was what was right. But we felt at that time in our family. And when we honestly opened the practice, we had already known within 4 to 5 years I would be moving to Spain. So it was already in the works. So finally that time had come, and then we made that move. So it was from Decatur to Alicante, Spain. And then when I went through, sadly, a family tragedy there and lost my second daughter, I moved back and came with my oldest daughter alone and went through a divorce. And so after that time period, I was kicked to the, like, in the pants in every way you can obviously possibly imagine in life. So what do? You serve your way through it. That's what we're taught to do. And so that's what I did. And I started with the Amish community that was local. And I just went there and started loving on them and just giving them everything that Dr. Sid had taught me, and from the other greats like Dr. Sigafus and Dr. Santo and Reggie Gold. And I mean, it can go on and on. Obviously, Dr. Sue Brown, since I'm a BGI doctor and I'm pediatric practitioner, based. So Jeannie Ohm was a great help to me. There were times I would just, even when I started my practice in small town, population 4,000, top of a dance studio, walking up 2 flights of steps, in a town where people grocery shop at the General Dollar, talk about feeling defeated. That's not the world I am in now. That was 9 years ago, having to start everything all over again. Well, 10 years ago since my daughter passed, but it is just profound. And as you said, it doesn't happen day one. I'm on day 1,000, whatever now. But what I did was just keep the vision and utilize tools like the dynamic essential, like the lasting purpose, going to DE, being with my brothers and sisters, feeling that community, feeling that connection, reaching out to my other resources like Dr. Jeannie Ohm and Dr. Sue Brown, and just doing what we were taught to do. And I had to shed the husks. I had to shed the layers. But, I realized that everything that we are doing is so much bigger than us. And if it was about me, I could lay in bed, I could wallow in misery, I could be sad for my experience, but it's about chiropractic. It's about what I was here to offer the world. And my daughter, even though she was, almost 3 when she passed, she would be so ticked off at me if I just gave up. And who am I to be that kind of person to give up for my oldest daughter? And her name is Eva, the giver of life. Like, obviously I gave her that name for a reason, and I didn't even know then. And my daughter that passed is Sophia, and her name is Wisdom. Okay, once again, no coincidence there. I like to say it's a beautiful coincidence. So in that, I just did what I know would make my children feel honor and pride in their mother one day. And I got through it, and I loved, and I actually moved to Tennessee out of crisis of saving my dad from them wanting to fuse his neck. And so worst case of bulging discs they'd ever seen, within 3 months, guess what? It's a miracle. It's resolved. We don't know how. Well, we do. So right. I just kept building and building and building, and the word of mouth. And because we love what we do, and we love the way that we love, in ways it was effortless, but that effort took time at the same time. And that's because I needed to keep shedding the layers, building myself, gaining the confidence back. No, I knew the principle worked, but in ways I had to get back to it, because after you go through something like that with a child or a family member, you're like, well, wait a second, does it work? But yeah, one cure, one cause, or one cause, one cure. I'm sorry. And so in that, we understand that. And for me, it was just my daughter's inability to integrate herself, her body, and or her environment. It isn't anything that I can take personally, even though I'm obviously personally attached to the situation. It's just something that I need to use her as a guide in my life now that she chose to move me through that experience onward to where I am now, which I can honestly say I don't know that I would be here if it wasn't for her. And there are so many blessings that come, and this is actually part of something I sketched out to say today. So it's perfect that it's coming up, but there are so many blessings within these hard times, and even within the tough transitions, it's all beautiful. And so go with it, just surrender to it. Let yourself be part of that wave, and it comes and goes. And so does life. And that's what we are. And, we will come out on top if you choose to. And looking back on things now, 10 years later, I can't wait to see what's in 10 years from now. And today actually marks the 20-year anniversary of me leaving to go to Life University. And so, 10 years ago, I came back from Spain, like around this time, very time, like August 1st or so. But this is my 20-year anniversary today. So what a blessed day to be sharing with you guys. And just, I want you guys to know I'm here if you ever need me. If you want to come see my office and the chaos that it is and see how it's done with tonal work, you're more than welcome to come, hang out and see the class that I'm going to teach. Come to DE, get your roots, get your group, get your people, because through the pandemic, through challenging times in practice, sometimes it's just that I check my phone and I get a random text from one of my DE brothers and sisters saying, sending you love. Whatever form it comes at, it is so honoring to me to have these people in my life and to have you guys share this thing that I now love, thanks to Life University, thanks to DE, and thanks to what you guys have shared within me within chiropractic.
Oh my gosh. That was amazing. Thank you. You touched me so emotionally. And I want you to know that the world has been watching you. We see you. We've been praying for you. We were praying for you for the last 10 years. And I've always watched how you have just moved through tragedy and moved through emotion and moved through things that nobody can understand if they haven't been there, with such grace and such strength, such determination, such conviction, so much authority, and just so much love for life, right? For life itself, because nothing is bigger than life, right? But so much love for life itself, and a calling to give of yourself and serve others, just a true embodiment of the lasting purpose. So I want to thank you so much for sharing a part of your story today. I want to thank you for taking the time to come and share this with us.
Of course. Thank you. Thank you. And none of it would have been possible, honestly, without the principal in my life. There's no way. There is absolutely no way. And having those things be such foundations, they're anchors. And when you have an anchor like that, like for me and Source and God is the same time, it is what it is, and it will present. And we have our challenges. And so I'm just thankful that I had the anchor of chiropractic in my life, because I don't know where I would be otherwise.
Wholeheartedly agree. Thank God Dr. Sid instilled the concept of serving your way through it, because that has served so many of us, brothers and sisters in chiropractic. It has served so many of us. And I'm just speechless today. So I'm not even going to say anything more other than thank you, Dr. Jamie, for sharing your story.
Thank you. Love and appreciate all of you guys.
And we look forward to seeing you at DE. So again, mark your calendars. Make sure you join us. DE starts Thursday night. And don't forget that we've got some continuing ed events coming up through GCC. We have our golf tournament coming up September 15th. It's going to be at Bridge Mill right up here in Canton near my office. So pretty close to Life University, only about 25 minutes north of the school. There it is. That's our 5th annual Chiro Cup. Big sponsor, Business Water Solutions. Thank you so much for all that they've been doing, as well as all of our sponsors that have supported us all along. And this Friday, I mean, we're talking 2 days from now, this Friday, we have Friday Night Live at Life University. So, hey, somebody change that picture for a minute. Dr. Wade, what were you up to? All right, so we've got Friday Night Live coming up this Friday night. Starts at 7 p.m. in 127. So join us there. We've got some great students speaking. Apparently, we have some female and male dogs that are speaking. I see some pictures over there. But we look forward to seeing you for Friday Night Live. Give us a holler. Check out our website, georgiachiropractic.org. Dr. Jamie, I can't wait to give you a hug next week, and we'll see you at DE.
Awesome.
Bye. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time.